G'day folks, Neil Kelliher here and welcome back. This is episode 3 in the Amazing Chase video series. And in this episode I'm going to share with you a particular event that took place in the Dominican Republic where the corrupt police, specifically Interpol and undercover police on the ground in the Dominican Republic that were working for them in order to set me up. Okay, now in this particular event what they did was they ran a false flag operation whereby they faked the death of a homeless man in the car park stroke car wash next door to the building where I was staying, and they were going to attempt to abduct me into a second ambulance that they had doing laps around the area in the hopes that I would leave my apartment and that they could then abduct me. Now, I'm very well aware that sounds absolutely crazy and insane, and imagine living it. Okay, now I've got the evidence. I'm going to show you the evidence in this video. Okay, so just bear with me and we'll get to the juicy evidence after I tell you the story. All right, so recap as always with these videos, they all start with a recap. All right, so basically this guy, all right, Lee Undy, strapped on this bracelet here. All right, this bracelet, okay, this one is a recording device. Okay, it was swapped from that one to this one in mid-May 2019 when Lee Undy became an undercover police informant and was recording conversations on that bracelet for the police. Okay, so basically he set me up way back in 2019, and everything that happened for the subsequent 4.5, almost 5 years was to protect his identity as an informant and to protect and keep secret the technology that they had within that bracelet, which was able to record conversations and broadcast those conversations back to a monitoring team. Right, so we're in the Dominican Republic. I've been there since December 2019. I got there in December, late December, and this event took place in May 2020, so almost 5 months later. Okay, now for 4 months they were all over me in the Dominican Republic from mid-January, around about my birthday time, until July, but this event took place in May. All right, so for 4 months they were literally trying to set me up in the Dominican Republic via various methods of drug entrapment. They were having street dealers offer me drugs. They were trying to get me to buy drugs from dealers off the street. They sent dealers into my building to try and sell me drugs, and they were going to try and catch me if I did that. And there were a number of different things that went on over this 4-month period leading up to this false flag. Now, I knew what they were doing, so they could never get close to me. Like, I knew what they were trying to do. So I was playing the game, but I wasn't letting them get to me. And basically by this stage, by mid-May, they were obviously quite desperate. They knew that I had evidence against them. They knew I had evidence against Lee Undy. They knew I was gathering more evidence as I was going, and they were desperate to silence me, desperate to shut me down. So somebody came up with this idea to run a false flag. They hoped that I would get spooked or scared by this event and that I would leave my apartment, and because I was safe in the apartment, because this is COVID, remember, so everything was locked down. So every night we'd lock the entire building. You couldn't get in or out. All right, so they needed me to leave the apartment in order to be able to grab me. All right, the reason they thought this would work is because in Thailand, many months before, I had left my apartment when they spooked me and ran away. All right, so they were hoping I was going to get spooked by this event and leave the apartment, and they were going to grab me into a second ambulance that was doing laps around the block. All right, so absolutely nuts, absolutely insane. And yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Now, since they were unable to get to me in the previous 4 months, they had actually managed to infiltrate our building, and sadly they turned the girl upstairs, who was the building manager, into an informant against me because they set her up with cocaine, which is a sad thing to do. I'm very sorry for what happened to her. It's my fault. I brought this shit to her doorstep, and I've got no hard feelings against her. It wasn't her fault, and I'm never going to release her name. I'm never going to drag her through the mud to tell this story. I'm just really sad what happened to her, and I hope she's doing well now wherever she is. So basically they had this undercover cop called Manuel. He was part of the local team that was on me, and he made friends with her, pretended to just be a guy in town, and basically he set her up with cocaine, and then they forced her to work against me, and that was the sort of precursor to this event. Also, what they were doing by now was they were supplying cocaine spiked with speed to me via a local dealer, and they were hoping that by putting speed in the cocaine it would keep me awake and make me more paranoid. I mean, I was already paranoid, obviously, but they wanted to make me more paranoid and hopefully scare me and spook me so that I would run away from that apartment and they would grab me into that second ambulance. So basically what I was doing was I was using the girl upstairs to order the cocaine on WhatsApp or whatever from the local dealer, and he would bring it around. Okay, now the stuff he would bring around would be spiked with speed. All right, so now I knew, because you can taste speed. You know what it tastes like, so I knew there was speed in it. All right, but in order to double check, what I did was during the day I went to his place and I caught him off guard, because normally we always send a message, can you make a delivery? What I did was I turned up at his place and I said, oh man, have you got some gear? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So he gives me some gear, but of course it's the proper gear, not the spiked gear, because they didn't have time to spike it. All right, so that's how come I know that what I say is true. Okay, I mean, I tested it against I tested the batch I got from him when I rocked up there compared to the batch I got when they delivered it to me that was spiked with speed. All right. They even actually tried to catch me with that cocaine that was spiked with speed, and they were going to say I was selling it to the girl upstairs. But that's another episode. I'll tell you that one in future. Okay, that didn't work either. All right, so basically, where are we? False flag. So on this evening, I'm in my room, and we could hear these groaning noises coming from next door. Now, next door was it was an old car rental place, I think, and it was turned into a car park stroke car wash. All right, so that's where this happened. It was next door to the building I was staying at. And basically what happened was all these groans and noises were coming from that area, and I heard it, and I didn't really make much of it. I thought, bloody hell, what's going on there? And then like a little while later, the girl from upstairs comes down to me and she goes, oh no, do you know what's happened next door? I'm like, no. And she said, someone just died next door. And I'm like, what do you mean someone's died? She said, yeah, somebody's died next door. A homeless man's just dropped dead. And I'm like, what on earth? What's going on? Anyway, she said, come and have a look. And I'm like, well, no thanks. So, I mean, by this stage, cops had turned up, ambulance had turned up, and she's come down and asked me to come upstairs and have a look. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, I'm not the sort of guy that stops to look at a car crash. I don't particularly want to go and stare at some poor person that's passed away, But she was very insistent. She's like, no, come and have a look, come and have a look. So I did. I went upstairs to have a look. Now, from her apartment upstairs, it looked straight down into the car wash car park next door. All right, so I'm standing at the window looking down, and there's a whole bunch of cops, there's an ambulance, some medical personnel, and then there's this great big thick white outline around where the body was, but there wasn't a body there when I was there, but where the body was, and it was really exaggerated, this thick white chalk outline. I mean, I've seen in the movies they do that stuff, but I looked at it, I thought that looks a bit bloody, fake. But anyway, it was what it was. And as I was looking down, at the same time as I was looking down, just being curious, there were people down there looking up at me. So some of the cops were looking up, looking up at our window. I can't say for sure they were looking at me at the time because I wasn't certain at the time. I'm certain now, obviously, but at the time I just thought it was a bit strange. So they were looking up at the window. So some of the cops were looking up at the window and some of the medical staff were looking up at the window because there was a couple of medical staff standing beside the ambulance. And they were looking up at the window, and I'm thinking, that's a bit strange. What are they looking up here for? And that was that, basically. I've gone, well, that's tragic, and I said, well, I'm not going to stand here and stare. So I left and went back to my room. And I was, clearly, suspicious, but I didn't realise there and then that they were trying to get to me. I just thought, that's a bit odd, all right? But then over the next couple of hours, they were there for a couple of hours. Like, I'm thinking, why are they still here so long? Because I was in my apartment and I was, I could see the flashing lights outside still. I could hear, stuff going on. And so I was just taking a bit of an interest. I was being a bit aware, because I was always aware of everything that was going on around me. So I was looking out the window, I was looking out my patio. But whenever I did that, I was always quite discreet about it. So I wasn't making it obvious. I was being discreet. And as I was looking out to see why they were still there, what was going on, I saw that second ambulance doing laps around the block. I'm thinking, what? I was thinking, why is this ambulance driving around the block? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What they need two ambulances for? Like, they only needed one ambulance for the poor guy that has supposedly passed away. What's this second one doing? Well, clearly that was for me. All right, so they were hoping I was going to get spooked by what had just happened to this poor man next door and do a runner. All right, which I didn't. Okay, so basically what I did was I stayed awake the whole night, which, given given the gear they supplied me with spike with speed, that wasn't hard. I wasn't tired, I couldn't sleep anyway. All right, because obviously I was taking the coke because I had to play the game. All right. So anyway, that was what I did. I stayed awake all night. They did eventually leave after a couple of hours. So it was around about this time I was obviously sitting there in my apartment thinking about stuff, and the second ambulance spooked me. I'm thinking, what do they need two ambulances for? So I'm thinking about that, and then I thought, why did she upstairs come down and specifically drag me up there to have a look? And then I thought, why were they down there looking up at me? And bells are going off. I'm like, hang on a second. I reckon they were trying to friggin' well spook me to run. They were going to grab me into that second ambulance. And so with that in mind, I'm like, oh, danger zone, danger zone. So whenever I felt like I was in danger, I would send messages to a whole bunch of people telling them what was going on as a safety precaution, like a safety message, you know what I mean? And so that's what I did. I sent 5 messages to 5 people, obviously. Pretty much the same message, maybe a few differences in some of the messages depending on the person. And I told them what was going on. And here's the part where I know I'm correct. What I'm saying is true, and I will show you this evidence shortly. So the second I sent those messages to all of these people, they vanished from everybody's device in real time. Okay, so literally, I've sent a message, and this is on encrypted messenger. This is back in 2020. Facebook had the secret messenger feature, so I've sent it on secret messenger to 5 people. All right, so 5 messages to 5 people. All right, every single one of those messages was wiped from everybody's phones, devices, in real time, as if I'd never sent it. So they didn't receive it on their end. So I've sent it, bang, and poof, it's vanished immediately the second I sent it. And what that means is that Interpol had literally hacked everybody's device like at the time that I sent the message. So they didn't want people knowing what they'd done, and I had told them in the message what I suspected, so therefore they've gone up, we can't have that, wipe those messages. And they literally wiped them all in real time. I'll explain to you how they did that in a second. Now, of the 5, 1 message got through. So 1 person received the entire message that I sent. The other 4 people didn't get it, all right? So what that means is that the 1 person, they weren't able to hack. And that person turned out to be a friend of mine who's in the military, okay? So basically, I don't think they had the permission, or they weren't allowed, or perhaps even the technology to do that to him. I don't think they were able to hack his phone due to the fact that he was a military officer, all right? Now, it gets even better. I'd had a conversation with him about what was going on. He responded to me, and we talked about it. And then, over the next couple of weeks, we stay in touch. 2 weeks later, his messages were wiped. All right. So at the time, the message got through. 2 weeks later, the secret messages were wiped off of his phone. So what I suspect is that they had to get special permission from the British government to hack his phone and delete his messages due to the fact that he's a British military officer. All right. So absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So that's what they did. Now, like I said, they didn't want anybody knowing that they'd done this. That's why they wiped all of these messages. And 2 weeks later, they wiped his messages as well. So they never expected me to get to a point where I could tell this story. They expected to capture me in the next couple of weeks after this failed event. So they never thought I would ever be around to show you this evidence. All right. And the evidence is all of these screenshots. Okay. So all of these screenshots are the message I sent to the people that I sent them to, and their responses to me based on the fact that they didn't receive anything, and I got them to send screenshots of their device, and so on and so forth. All right, so I'm going to set my camera up, I'm going to flip it around, and then I'm going to show you all of this evidence, so you can see that what I'm saying is true, and irrefutably true based on this evidence. Okay, so let's get into this screenshot evidence. So these are the screenshots of the conversations between me and 5 people. And this proves that the police were hacking and deleting these messages in pretty much instantaneously. I mean, there may have been a couple of second lag or whatever. But as you can see, it says secret conversation. So this was Facebook Secret Messenger back in 2020, encrypted end-to-end across all your active devices. All right, so that's total bullshit, because it wasn't encrypted, because it was being read and deleted in real time. All right, so I'm going to start with my mate Roger, I think. All right, so here we go. Okay, so Roger was one of my best friends, and sadly he passed away late last year from cancer, despite our best efforts to save him. And this is back in 2020, so he was there for me all the way through this saga. He had my back the whole time. And I miss you, mate. R.I.P., buddy. All right, so I'm going to enlarge this and read it to you. All right. Okay, so don't freak out, but I suspect I have an abduction or suicide squad trying to silence me due to the cancer cure and brain tumour cure. All right, now it wasn't about that. It was about Leundi, but at this stage I couldn't prove that, and I didn't have the evidence to prove it, so I didn't want to write it in text messages, so I was using my natural healing business as a cover story. So I said due to the cancer cure and brain tumour cure, because I'd helped a couple of people heal from cancer and brain tumour by this stage. All right, it wasn't about that, it was about Leundi. All right, okay, there have been half a dozen very suspicious events here, and no way is related to Lee or any other drug stuff. Well, it was, but like I said, I couldn't prove it at that stage, so I wasn't prepared to write it in text messages until I could prove it. All right. All of these events were in the middle of the night, when the opportunity to get me without being seen is ideal, because they were literally sniffing around the apartment in the middle of the night, and there were a couple of occasions when I actually thought they were going to come into the apartment and grab me, so that's why I wrote that. Now, when I sat back and connected the dots, there was no explanation other than extreme paranoia, which was possible, which I had to be accepting of the fact that it was possibly I was just being paranoid, because a few people said, "Oh, are you sure you're not paranoid?" But I wasn't. I mean, everything I've said is true, and I was correct about everything, but I had to accept the fact that maybe I was, so I wrote it in there. All right. But other people here have witnessed some of these events: suspicious cars, suspicious people checking out the building, and more. So, I mean, literally, there were people other than me that knew something was really strange. I'm not going to reveal who they are, but there were other people. All right. Anyway. Next message. Now, I've missed a paragraph up here because I couldn't fit it in the screenshot, so let me just grab it from somewhere else. Okay, here we go. All right, so last night a guy next door dropped dead, literally in the car park behind the car wash. Heaps of cops and 2 ambulances. Why they need 2? Okay, so literally that's what I wrote, because that's what was happening. That's what was going on. All right. Now I'm going to go back to Roger's message now. Okay, so this is just a safety message, mate. I think I'm safe, as they know I'm onto them. I've caught them out a number of times. Sorry, let me enlarge that. I've caught them out a number of times, which is why there have been multiple events. All right. I've told a few people, and I'm certain whoever, still read all my messages and emails. So they being Interpol, they were hacking everything. All of my communications were intercepted, obviously, as you can tell by what they did here. All right. And then I said, sorry for the drama, mate, but better to say it out loud than keep quiet from doubt and disappear, because that's what would have happened if I didn't say anything. Just keep a screenshot of this in case and keep it to yourself. All right, so that's what I sent to Roger. All right, and then what happened next? Well, this is what happened next. All right, Roger sends me this back. All right, can't see shit on my phone for some reason. What did you send, cunt? All right, I said screenshot and show me. So he screenshots and shows me, and you can see the conversation should have been here. It's not there at all. All it is what he sent me. All right. So it was wiped in real time from his device. And how did they do that? This is how they do it. All right. See here, Roger Fox added one new device. Okay. So what they were doing was adding a device or removing a device, and it would wipe the conversation from the, from the previous device. All right. So that's what happened. They literally wiped the conversation in real time. Now, Roger sent me another one, this one. All right. So this is from his iPad. Okay. So this was on iPad, which I'd already seen. Did you send more than that? So he got the message on his iPad, the one I sent, but he didn't get it on his phone. I said, no, that's all, no worries. And then he's like, this is later on the next day, fix me, cunt, or strike your healing powers, because we were trying to help him heal. All right. And I was still around. That was late that night. And then again, Roger Fox removed a device. So they've then removed his iPad from the conversation to get rid of that message that was still there. All right. So, I mean, this is what we're dealing with, folks. This is how corrupt these people are. Now, there's a couple more from Roger just to, stress this point. So let me just get those. Okay, so here we go. All right, so did you send me a session PM yesterday? I was using session as well as Facebook Encrypted Messenger, and then bang again. Roger Fox added a device. Roger Fox removed a device. So they were wiping the conversation in real time, and we were talking about something else, and then he sent me this. All right, so now. We were having a conversation. I said, if I was a drug kingpin, I'd be living in my yacht doing hookers and blow, because they were trying to set me up and frame me as a drug dealer, which I wasn't. All right. And then down the bottom here, you can see you added your iPad, you removed your iPad. Okay. So he didn't do that, obviously. And then over here, Roger says to me, hang on, where is it? Oh, yeah, down the bottom here. Lol, apparently my iPad can do things on its own, because he's referring to, excuse me. He's referring to here how they've removed it, added and removed it from the conversation. And yeah, look, this is back then. I told him it was Melbourne Organised Crime Squid, referring to Melbourne Organised Crime Squad. All right. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, this is how they operate. They're absolutely corrupt to the core. I mean, these are supposedly encrypted messages that were wiped in real time. All right, so that's the end of Roger's messages, and I'll move on to the next one now. Okay, so we'll move on to the next person I sent the message to, and that's this one here. Now, you can see I've hidden his identity because I'm not dragging any people into this. Obviously, I need the evidence, but I don't need to reveal the names of these people that were involved. I can tell you Roger, obviously, because sadly he's no longer with us. Okay, so same message, all right, and same message, but also some additional stuff here, but I've missed that paragraph there because of the screenshot length. All right, so just a reminder, that paragraph was, where we go, here we go. So last night, a guy next door dropped dead, literally in the car park behind the car wash, heaps of cops and 2 ambulances. They were here for 2 hours, etc. All right. So I also said to him, all right, so I said, hang on, FYI, I've tested this with and without you-know-what, being cocaine, being involved, and I even baited them a specific way which would prompt action from them, which would connect some dots. I'm not imagining it. All right, so I was literally laying little traps to catch them out, and I had caught them a number of times, which is how I managed to stay ahead of them. Okay, I said it mimics Thailand, and the Aussie police swear that wasn't them. I said add the visa issues of the stolen phone, it's more suspect. So the visa issue, I was supposed to be in Canada in March 2020, but before I could sort the visa out, COVID came and locked everything down. So the visa issues were actually the police blocking my visa to Canada. So first of all, they Canadian visa office told me I needed a police clearance from Australia. So I went and got that, and then when I reapplied, they turned around and said I needed a police clearance from the UK as well because I'm dual citizen. But they never told me that before. So they were delaying my opportunity to get a visa for Canada, and then before I could, the COVID lockdown came, so I got stuck in the Dominican Republic. All right, and the stolen phone, so I was using a second phone to record video at night, pointing at my door in case anybody tried to come in, and they knew that, obviously, and they sent someone in and stole the phone when I was out one day. So because it was inside my apartment. So there you go. All right. So then I said I even keep my front door to my apartment open so I can see, hear anyone approach. Chat soon, my brother. Chat soon, my brother. So that was the message that was sent to him, same as the one sent to Roger, pretty much. Okay, and then his response was this. All right, he didn't get that message. Funny enough. All right, so Neil Kelliher removed. This is a screenshot of his phone. Neil Kelliher removed the device from this conversation. Neil Kelliher removed the device. Neil Kelliher added a device, which I never did. So they wiped, that conversation from his phone. I sent this one, must have been just after they'd done this, so because that got through. I said, P.S. I did not tell so-and-so about this, and neither should you, mate. So I was telling him not to tell the girl upstairs because I didn't want her to know I was aware of what was going on. Okay. And in his screenshot, he's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, how's that for hello? Sorry, mate, but I trust my gut. It saved me in Thailand, and this is a mirror of that situation. I'm certain all is okay as I write this. And he's like, what's going on? Okay. So bottom line is he never received that message. And they've, added and removed those devices there to wipe that previous conversation from his phone. Okay. Okay, on to the next one. So the next one was a video I sent to a friend explaining the same situation, but I didn't send the text message. I sent the others. I sent him a video explaining what was going on. So you can see the video there. And then just a little bit of a spiel here. So I said, hang on a sec. I said, 2 hours after the cops and ambulance left, the dogs next door were going nuts. I've had a gut feeling there have been stakeouts of my building from here. So I reckon there were undercover agents. I think they were in the new building next door, to be honest. But they may have been on the ground too, given that the dogs were going nuts that time. But I'm not certain, obviously. But I know they were there, clearly. All right, and then this message also wasn't received. All right, so removed one device. Okay, so this entire message to him, another guy, was not received. All right, so he's responded, huh? Because he didn't get it. And I rang him and had a chat to him about it. So that was another guy that's same thing, message sent, and then in real time, they've hacked him, removed device, deleted that message. All right. Now, one more here. Now, this is a different one because there's no adding or removing a device. It just said half the convo just got wiped. Did you do it? And I don't really know what happened there, to be honest. I think what they did was, because we were having an ongoing conversation about heaps of stuff as opposed to just that one specific event that happened that night. And I think they've just activated my disappearing messages timer, because that was a feature back then on the Facebook Messenger, secret messenger, the disappearing messages. Because, I mean, he's just said half the convo just got wiped. Did you do it? Which I didn't, okay? So that's what I think they did there, just activated the disappearing messages on my phone. I never used that feature at all because I needed these messages to keep them for evidence, obviously. You know what I mean? Okay, so that was that guy. All right, so now, what's that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we get to the real juicy one. All right, just I'll show you what these are in a minute. All right, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Hang on a second, bear with me. Oh, here we go, it's this one. All right, so this one was the message that actually got through. Okay, so secret conversation, all right, end-to-end encrypted. All right, so same message, please don't freak out, etc., etc. All right, and then same message, etc., etc. This is the same as the original message I sent. And then finally, the end of that message, sorry for the drama, better to say it out loud than keep quiet from doubt. And then I got a reply. So this message was received by this person, okay? Now this person was the, hang on a sec, sorry. This person was the guy that's in the military, friend of mine that's in the military in the UK, so a British military officer. So like I said, they were not able to hack him in real time. I'm sure, actually, I think I said before they didn't have the technology. I'm sure they did. I just don't think they were allowed to use it on a serving military officer without special permission. So I think that's what happened. All right. So anyway, I'll just read what he wrote back to me. Bloody hell, when are you going to catch it? He's put some stuff there that I don't want people to know, obviously. That's why I blacked it out. Bloody hell, when are you going to catch a break? This is what happens when you hang out in dodgy countries. Is it the people you're staying with as well that has seen things as well? Which it was, obviously. You know I've always got your back, but if you need anything, let me know. It sounds pretty out there. So, of course, I mean, it did sound crazy what I was saying. What if I said the same to you? I'm not there, so I can't see what's going on. We'll obviously take your word. But with everything you've been through, you're bound to be skeptical. And then it went on from there. I can't remember exactly what he said. I didn't bother taking a screenshot of the rest because I didn't need it. All right. So that was from him. So I sent this message to him and bang, he got it and he received. The time difference is because of different countries. All right. So he received that message. All right. So that was obviously good for me. All right. Because I wasn't the only one that had proof of this conversation. All right. But, however, 2 weeks later, this is what happened. Hang on a second. Where are we? Okay, here we go. All right, so have a look at the date first. All right, so let me just show you. Okay, hang on. All right, so the date there, okay, 13th of the 5th. All right, so this was early in the morning, the 13th of the 5th. But I sent it to him, all right, and I said, secret message not hacked, no device added or removed, okay? And that was 8:23 his time because he was in the UK, all right? Now, here, 2 weeks later, this is what I get from him, all right? Hang on a second, let me just show you there. Hang on, all right, see that? Facebook secret messages are gone, can't find them, all right? June the 2nd, okay? And I've said, hang on a sec, interesting, doesn't matter, I have everything screenshotted, all right? Now, this is the important part right here, the date, okay? You see the date there? There you go. So, 2nd of June, 2020, all right? So, what was the other one? 13th of May. So, just over 2 weeks, well, it's just nearly 3 weeks, isn't it? So almost 3 weeks later, they've, it is 3 weeks, I think, 2nd of June. So yeah, 3 weeks later, they've deleted his messages. So he didn't have a record of that conversation. So clearly, in my mind, and I'm sure anyone with half a brain would make the same conclusion, that they had to get special permission from the British government to wipe his encrypted messages. And that's what they did. All right, now just finish this video off with a little couple of bonus images. All right, so during this video, I told you about the undercover cop Manuel that was sent into the building to infiltrate and set up the girl upstairs. All right, and yeah, let's show you Manuel, shall we? So this was me taking a covert photograph of him. All right, so I'd just gotten out of the car and I could see him on the balcony above me. So I did a shot over my shoulder. All right, so there he is there. That's Manuel on the balcony of the girl who he had set up and forced to work against me. Right, now, obviously, it's not a very good photo because I had to be very careful about how I did this. I couldn't make it obvious I was taking photos of an undercover cop. All right, so that's the best picture I could get. But I did manage to blow it up a little bit. All right, so there we go. So that's our mate Manuel there. Now, that's obviously his undercover pig name. I nicknamed him the Weasel because he looked like one. All right, so, I mean, you can't make out what he really looks like from this photo, but, yeah, I don't need to. I mean, all you need to make out is that he was there. All right, so this is the Weasel, and he's the one that set up the poor girl upstairs so that she had to, obviously, this is his bike. All right, and that's him leaving. All right, I couldn't get another good shot of him because I had to be obviously very careful about how I was taking these photographs. All right, so anyway, that's him. And interestingly, this is the car I'm going to tell you about in the next video, where they let down the air out of the tyre and tried to abduct me a couple of weeks later. All right. So anyway, that's the conclusion of this video. All right. So conclusion of this episode, and yeah, see you in the next one. So that concludes episode 3, the false flag, faked death of a homeless man. Nobody died there. All right, nobody died. Fake death of a homeless man, attempted abduction into a second ambulance, and the encrypted messages being, hacked and wiped in real time off of all my friends' devices. All right, so that was on the 12th of May 2020, and literally within 2 weeks after that date, they tried again, another abduction attempt, and that time they tampered with the wheel on the car I was driving, let air out of the tyre, and they were following me to the beach I was driving to. They were hoping I was going to get a flat on the way to the beach. They'd stolen the spare wheel from the back of the car, so I had no spare, and they were going to grab me then, throw me into the back of this white van. And I'm going to show you that in the next episode. All right, so stay tuned if you're interested in this absolute diabolical saga, folks. Thanks for watching if you have been watching, and